If I keep it 100 with you right now? Really? Is it? I'd like to share something with you about bankruptcy. And if it's your situation right now where you're thinking about going into bankruptcy, whether it's a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13, and if it's the right thing to do, just want to let you know it's okay. I've been there too, and yes, I end up buying my own house now that I'm living in. You can too. So after today's conversation, you'll know how the bankruptcy is going to impact you and how long you're going to need to wait after the date of discharge of your bankruptcy. My name is Andrew Finney, and my passion is helping you make sense of real estate. If you need help finding a top agent where you live, or if you simply want to drop me a line to say hello, my contact info is below. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel now and like this video. Thank you. All right, my friend, let's take a closer look at this. As I mentioned, I've gone through bankruptcy myself. So the first thing that we should explore is what are the impacts to you getting a mortgage after a bankruptcy occurs? The first thing that we should understand is what's realistically going to happen to your FICO score. It is about to get devastated, and it's about to go to territory unknown that you didn't even know was possible for a credit score. The good news is, if you did a Chapter 7, if you qualified, then at least some or all of your debts may have been paid off. If you did a Chapter 13, then likely you've restructured your debt with an agreement plan to pay it back. Either way, the impact to your credit score is going to be fairly immediate after the bankruptcy happens. You might be wondering, how long is this bankruptcy going to be staying with you? Well, in many cases, whether it's a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, it will be on your credit report for up to 10 years. So just know that it's going to be there. Now, that being said, how's that going to impact your credit score if it's 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years into the future? Simple. The more time that passes from the date of discharge, the better and better your credit score becomes, and the less and less a financial lender is going to look at you as a possible risk. Now let's take a look at the mandatory waiting periods to get a mortgage. Depending on what kind of bankruptcy you did, whether it's a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13, dictates how the process and how long you're going to have to wait after the date of discharge. If you did a Chapter 13, you likely set up a debt restructurement payment. So with that debt repayment plan, there's some different pros and cons to that situation. Obviously, number one, the debts did not get discharged and you're going to have to pay it back. Maybe you got some negotiations in there, it was a little bit less. Either way, you're having to pay back the debt. So here's where it gets really interesting with the Chapter 13. A lot of loan officers, and if you have questions about this specifically, please call a local loan officer after watching this episode and review your specific situation with them. The reason this gets super interesting is because sometimes, if the court allows it and you're making on-time payments for your restructured debt plan, guess what can happen? You can get approved for a mortgage with almost no wait time so long as you are making on-time payments. The reason being is that certain loan types like a VA, FHA, or USDA loan, so long as you meet the other minimum requirements and qualifications for the loans, will allow you to get a mortgage after 12 months from the date of discharge from your bankruptcy, showing that you've been making on-time payments. As with a conventional loan, you might have to wait up to 2 years as a mandatory wait time, like every other kind of bankruptcy or short sale situation. Review your options with a local loan officer to know exactly how this is going to affect you and come up with a game plan moving forward. The Chapter 7 bankruptcy, on the other hand, is completely different. Now, with the Chapter 7, we know that a lot of the debts would have either been paid off or reduced for the amount that you owe on that debt. From the date of that discharge, you're going to have for an FHA, VA, or USDA, you're going to need to wait 2 years. With a conventional loan, if that's what you would like, you're going to need to wait a minimum of 4 years. So now you can obviously start forming an opinion about the differences between a Chapter 13 versus a Chapter 7, whereas the Chapter 13 is considered like a debt repayment program. Chapter 7 is when most, if not all, of the debt is extinguished at the date of discharge going forward. Each of them have their own pros, each of them have their own cons. It's up to you to talk to a bankruptcy attorney to know which one is right for you and which one is going to be best for you moving forward. Now let's look at the bright side. The bright side is the reality. Okay, a bankruptcy, as hard as it is, as trying as it is, and again, speaking from personal experience, was devastating to me. It crushed my ego, it crushed my feelings, it made me feel worthless that I couldn't repay my debts, and I was so angry with myself that I got into that position, and I have vowed to myself to never let it happen again. But on the bright side, I was able to get rid of the debt that became toxic in my life that I was unable to repay. I was able to wait the 2 years to be able to use my VA loan, and I was able to buy my first home in my early 30s. I was so excited, and I've been working on making smart financial decisions ever since then to ensure I never go backwards and I only move forwards. If I can do this, you can too. So let's take take a look at some of the things that I use to become successful that you can start using right now with the 4 budgeting apps to begin healthy budgeting habits, and also fast ways to improve your credit score. Looking forward to our next conversation. See you in a few.